Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever edition of Search It, Skip It, or Buy It. This is my review series for WWE's pay-per-views where I'm going to tell you whether I think that the pay-per-view is worth buying the DVD, searching and downloading, possibly from YouTube or wherever else you decide to get your videos from, or just skipping it altogether. In this edition, obviously, the most recent pay-per-view that the WWE did was none other than the Royal Rumble itself, and I will go ahead and review this. I really enjoyed this pay-per-view for a few reasons. First of all, I feel like the cage match was good because it wasn't very long. It was short. As soon as it started, I said that I think it needs to be no more than 10-15 minutes. It needs to be a quicker match, and it was. And Daniel Bryan escaping, and as whether you want to look at it this way or not, Daniel Bryan cleanly, and I do mean cleanly because he didn't cheat in any way whatsoever, beat The Big Show and Mark Henry in the same night, in the same match. Another reason I really liked this pay-per-view was because Kane and John Cena, I honestly felt like was the best match next to the Rumble itself. I really did enjoy watching Kane beat down John Cena, and the fact that this went to the outside of the ring really helped. I honestly was hoping that they would turn it into a street fight. I felt John Laurinaitis should have come out and just said, you know what, I don't want this to end in a count-out. This is just going to be a no rules. First person to get the pinfall or submission wins. That would have been cool. That's the only real negative that I have to say about this match, though, because it was just really well worked. And then, of course, the segment where Kane tombstone Zack Ryder and chokeslam John Cena in the middle of the ring after everything happened was very cool. Another thing that I really did enjoy during this pay-per-view was the fact that the Divas match saw the return of Beth Phoenix. I've been really missing her because I feel like she's really the #1 diva as far as entertainment value goes, because she puts on great matches, she knows how to work the crowd, she does everything right, and it's just nice to see her back. I do understand that apparently Alicia Fox was the one that injured her. She botched her finisher when she hit her with it one time, and apparently it really screwed up her face, so Beth Phoenix has been out for a little while. I'm glad she's back, though. One other thing I will say is that Drew McIntyre versus Brodus Clay actually happened on this, and as much as I hate the fact that there was a squash match on a pay-per-view, I'm glad that Drew McIntyre was on a pay-per-view at all. I honestly wish Brodus Clay would have been in the Royal Rumble match itself, but you can't have everything that you want, and he had a great showing here against somebody that I honestly see as a legitimate future world champ. The final match of the night leading up to the Rumble match itself was CM Punk versus Dolph Ziggler in a WWE Championship match, which was kind of convoluted because John Laurinaitis ended up, instead of being the actual guest referee, he became like a special outside enforcer where he brought in another referee as a talent evaluation or something stupid like that. I don't know. That was, honestly, I felt like this was, if nothing else, the most disappointing match of the night. I was really looking forward to seeing these guys work, and I felt like most of their matches leading up to this point were better than this one, if for no other reason because of John Laurinaitis' involvement in it. One thing I will say, though, is that I'm glad both Daniel Bryan and CM Punk retained their titles at this because I feel like they both have better feuds ahead of them as far as Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania pay-per-views go. And then leaves us with the Royal Rumble match itself. Now this, I honestly feel like a lot of people are underrating this one because I feel like a lot of people are saying that it wasn't good, or it was bad, or it was boring, or it was lame, or it lacked star power, but what are you going to do? The WWE doesn't have a great developmental system, so they have had troubles creating new stars over the last couple of years. One thing I will say, though, is that the young talents that they have created over the last few years really shine in this. You have The Miz and Cody Rhodes both lasting 40+ minutes. You have Dolph Ziggler returning after already competing in a match with CM Punk to last a long time in the Rumble, despite the fact that, like I said, he already wrestled. You have Sheamus obviously winning the Rumble, and the big return of the match wasn't even a superstar, it was a diva, and we're talking about Karma here, and boy, am I glad to see her back. I have to say, I was really looking forward to seeing her come back. I didn't think that it would be as soon as it was, because honestly, I thought that she was going to be coming back around the same time that Rey Mysterio is slated to come back sometime in May or June, but the fact that she came back as early as she did was pretty cool, even if it was just a one-off until she gets her child and her life together outside of the wrestling ring. I'm thoroughly looking forward to her actual full-time return because, man, that woman is going to make the Divas division mean something again, or at least I hope she will be able to. Some of my favorite moments, obviously Mick Foley showing up was cool, then Ricardo Rodriguez's entrance and him actually getting an elimination was very cool. His little celebration after he eliminated Justin Gabriel was hilarious, and then of course Santino Marella versus Mick Foley in a Cobra versus Mr. Sacco duel was hilarious. I absolutely loved that. I feel like a lot of people didn't really appreciate that just because, oh, this is stupid. I don't want comedy in my wrestling, but you gotta admit it was entertaining. That's why I watch wrestling. I watch wrestling to be entertained, and that's exactly what that did for me. It entertained me. Like I said, the only thing that I really genuinely felt was missing from the Royal Rumble was a Brodus Clay appearance, just because I really wish I could have seen him go in there and just dominate and throw everybody over the top rope and then get ganged up on by a few people. But there were a few highlights. Booker T being in the Rumble was cool. Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole style, not so much, not really a big fan of that. You could clearly tell that he got gassed after a few minutes. I feel like he was maybe in the match a little bit too long. It was still cool while it lasted. One thing I will say, I absolutely loved seeing Karma hit Dolph Ziggler with an implant buster. That was absolutely amazing. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Karma. I'm a big fan of Ziggler. The one thing that I like more than Ziggler when he wins is Ziggler when he loses, because he's such a great salesman and he's so great at bumping and selling and everything that you would expect in somebody that makes everybody else around him look great. Another thing about the Royal Rumble match that I thoroughly enjoyed was the Road Dogg Jesse James making an appearance. It was great to hear his entrance music hit. It was great to see him do some of his signature moves. It was great to see that because I am a big fan of Road Dogg, and the New Age Outlaws were one of the reasons that I first started watching the WWF back in 1998. Honestly, I think that one of the best parts of the entire Royal Rumble pay-per-view was the very, very ending where they had the back and forth between Chris Jericho and Sheamus. There were a lot of false finishes. There were a lot of moments where he was like, oh crap, oh my god, he's gonna go over, and then the guy pulled himself back in, and that happened with both guys. It was a very good back and forth. Both of these guys looked like they were on the same level, and that's the best thing that could have possibly happened to Sheamus. I posted this on Twitter the night of the Rumble, and I'm going to say it on here again. I feel like Chris Irvine is too good of a person to have let Chris Jericho take that moment from Sheamus. Here's a little fun fact for you. This is actually the first time in 13 years that Kane was not in the Royal Rumble match. It's kind of sucky because I was really looking forward to see him, along with Brodus Clay, enter and just wreck shop, but we didn't really get that too much this year. If anyone did that, it was Randy Orton, and despite the fact that he did have a few great moments, eliminating The Miz and Cody Rhodes, eliminating Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes actually came out of this Rumble with the most eliminations, that number being 6. Overall, this pay-per-view was very good, but it wasn't good enough to spend your money on. Go ahead and search it, watch it. If you like it, download it. If you really like it, go ahead and buy the DVD, but my recommendation for this one is search it. That's all I have to say about this pay-per-view. Definitely stay tuned in, though. I'm planning on doing this for every WWE pay-per-view, next one being the Elimination Chamber, or as John Laurinaitis would say, the Elimination pay-per-view.